Welcome to the Elixir podcast, where we ask people from all walks of life and from around the world what their favourite poem is and why it's important to them, why or how it speaks to their heart. If you have a poem that you would like to share and would like to appear on the podcast, please contact me at helenwing@me.com.
هست مهمان خانه این تن ای جوان، هر صباحی ضیف نو آید دوان. هین مگو کین ماند اندر گردنم، که همکنون باز پرد در عدم. هرچه آید از جهان غیب و وش، در دلت ضیف است او را دار خوش.
Hello and welcome again to the Elixir podcast, where we ask people from all over the world if they have a poem that they like, and then we ask them why they like it. Today we're talking to Nicole, who is actually from Germany originally, but she now lives in Mallorca. Hello, Nicole.
Hello, Helen. So good to be here.
I'm very happy that you're here. So, Nicole, which poem are you going to read for us?
I'm going to read The Guest House, written by Rumi.
Wow. Okay, so Persian poet, everybody. Here we go.
The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Well, Nicole, that's a really beautiful poem. And for me, the message seems really quite counterintuitive. So I would really like it if you would tell us now why this poem moves you, what you like about her.
Yes, what I like about this poem is that it really reminds us that there are no negative emotions. And I think sometimes we're so quick to label our emotions like, oh, I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to feel angry. And what I've learned, especially in the past years, on my own personal growth and transformation journey, is that every emotion comes as a messenger. And I really love this idea of the guest house. And what I've experienced in the past few years is when you are able to feel your emotion, you're so much more connected to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really living life. It's a more wholesome way of living life, because otherwise, like, you're missing a part and you're just pushing a part away. And when you feel your emotions and you start to understand what the message is behind, you can really live a different life.
Yes, that is an amazing thought, isn't it? And I have a sort of vision with this guest house that if you let those bad emotions in, then they can go through the house and out the back door. But if you don't let them in, they surround the house in a huge black cloud, you know? So it's
Exactly.
quite an amazing message. And as I say, quite counterintuitive for me, because I'm someone who's always been taught to suppress the bad emotions. And I think that's probably true for many of us, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I had a really happy childhood, I would say, but I did not learn how to feel and express my emotions, not at home, not at school, not at university. So I think this is really something I've come to learn in my coaching certification training. And I was nearly 50 years old when I learned that. And it has been, such a big change for me. And this poem always reminds me of that. And I think it's exactly as you say, if we don't let them in and open the door, they will hover around the entrance and they will always be there. Yes, for a reason.
I think that's very true, And, I mean, this is Rumi, so it's like really ancient wisdom.
Yes.
But it's the wisdom that so many of us have forgotten, in our wish to always present the best sides of ourselves to people, And that need to pretend that everything's okay all of the time, So
I'm also convinced, and this is also many times what I see in my work, is that when we do this all the time and we don't feel our emotions, I'm really convinced that it will make us sick in the end.
Is there some sort of moment in your life that you can trace back to this realization for you? Was there a moment when you suddenly thought, you know what, I have to do things in a different way?
Yeah, I think that was during my coaching certification training, which was here in Spain with a small group of people and some amazing teachers. And there was this weekend where we're actually talking about and learning about emotions and what it means for coaching. And there was this moment when I realized that actually I had this pattern or this behavior of keeping myself busy all the time. And then I figured out that this was actually a strategy not to feel my emotions. And in the moment when I had this realization, there were so many strong emotions. I remember I hardly couldn't speak and I felt it all over my body. And I think that was really the moment where I was like, wow.
It was like a big epiphany for you.
Yes. And that was also then like a big realization and aha moment for me that changed a lot in the way I see the world. I live my own life. I live my love relationship. I changed my parenting to my 2 teenage sons. It changed my work. So and this poem is just a beautiful reminder.
Maybe your children will be much more emotionally literate than my generation. I'm hoping to see in Britain a big change in the way that we do education so that it concentrates more on helping people manage their own emotions. I feel that many of the addictions that people suffer in later life are connected with this inability to allow themselves to feel and resolve their emotions, So
absolutely. And then what came like approximately 3 years ago into my life, I met a yoga teacher in India who has become a very dear friend. And through him, I also got access to all these ancient teachings about yoga and breath work. So what I've also come to learn is that breath work is one of the best keys to, in those moments when you're feeling really overwhelmed by your emotions, it's just, you just have to breathe and observe and try to locate the emotion in your body. And then when you actually focus on it and breathe into it, many, many times it just dissolves.
That's an amazing lesson, Nicole. Would you read us the poem again?
Of course.
Because I think Rumi also has that, in this poem, has that sense of calmness and tranquility with himself, with his voice that you're talking about.
Okay. The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes in as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. A dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Well, that's lovely.
Mm.
This is why I think poems are actually a guide from beyond. I feel that poets are channeling something beyond us,
Yeah, and there's so much wisdom in these words.
Mm.
And I really like the metaphor of the house.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing this poem with us. I didn't know this poem, although I've read some Rumi before, but I didn't know this poem. And I think quite a lot of people will be familiar with it, but I love the reading that you give of it, that it's actually part of growing into a better place for oneself if you accept these ideas and welcome them in, if you like. So
Yes,
thank you very much for sharing your reading with us.
You're very welcome, Helen. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. If you're a regular listener and are enjoying the podcast, it would mean the world to me if you could hit the follow button on your podcast app. And if you have a moment, leave a review and a 5-star rating. It helps us tremendously to reach more and more listeners who could also be touched by guests' poems. That's hit follow, leave a review, and not 4, but a 5-star rating. This would give us just a little help that will make a great deal of difference. Remember, you can find the poems that feature in each episode on my website, helenwing.com. Thanks for listening.